We'll go ahead and get started. Good morning. My name is Scott Parker. I'm the United States Marshal for the Eastern District of North Carolina. First of all, I want to say thanks to the media for being here. Y'all played a very vital, important part of the operation yesterday, and we thank you for that. Yesterday, the U.S. Marshal Service, the Nash County Sheriff's Office, the Franklin County Sheriff's Office, the Warren County Sheriff's Office, the Department of Community Corrections, and the Nash County Emergency Management came together as one. We started out at approximately 6 o'clock yesterday morning, where the local law enforcement officer from the Sheriff's Office was deputized as Special Deputy United States Marshals. The reason we did that because we did not let county lines stop the law enforcement officers from doing their jobs, which they did a great job yesterday. I think each officer and the officers that did their work is not standing up here. They're seated in the room, and some are not here today, but they did an excellent job protecting the citizens of their respective county. The goal of the operation yesterday was simple. We went out to make sure that all the sex offenders was in compliance. As a result of that, we made 19 arrests. We did not anticipate making 19 arrests, but we did make 19 arrests. We seized firearms, computers, and other items, ammunition, that just showed that each of the dedicated law enforcement officers, that when they left home, they knew the danger they were facing. They put their bulletproof vests on, and they were prepared to stand up to the task of whatever happens. And I thank each of them for that. They left their family when most citizens was either at work or home sleeping. These men and women was out preparing to go out and protect them and the children of their community. And as a result of that, we had a successful day. Now, I want to go, before I let each of the sheriffs up here and Department of Community Corrections and Emergency Management, this is the first time the Marshal Service has done this type of operation in these 3 counties. Last year, the Marshal Service in Eastern North Carolina arrested the Marshal Service in Eastern North Carolina checked approximately 850 sex offenders. Yesterday, we went out to sea to check, and we checked 274 sex offenders in one day in 3 counties. I think that's a great job by the local law enforcement officers and members of the community correction. But before I let the other sheriffs and representatives standing here with me speak, the message is we all came together as one, federal, state, and local. We pooled our resources together as one, and we were as one. You know, I think the worst thing that a criminal or a sex offender saw yesterday was a deputy sheriff, a probation officer, and a United States Marshal approaching their door. They didn't know what to expect, but they was treated fairly, and they respected the individual, but they did their job. One other thing we want to just make you aware of, you know, in time of disaster, we all come together, as we did yesterday. And so utilizing Nash County Emergency Management, or Nash County Office of Emergency Management, what we did was we utilized the Viper radio system, and we had a special channel assigned to this operation so we not interrupt the emergency operation that was going on in these 3 counties. And we was able to talk throughout all 3 counties and communicate for the safety of the officers that was involved yesterday. So we were preparing and testing and make sure it worked for in time of disasters. We wanted to be prepared, and we realized that we were prepared utilizing the radio system yesterday, and see that now in time, if one of these counties need assistance, all federal, state, and local can come together as one and work together. And now I'm gonna let the sheriffs come up and speak, and we'll let the other people give you a speech of what they want to say, and I'll return to the podium. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I'm Dick Jenkins, Sheriff from Nash County, and I think the results of yesterday speaks for itself. We've got right at 140 sex offenders registered in Nash County, and I'd be doing wrong if I didn't mention a certain lady's name who handles most of our sex offender cases. It's Deputy Liz Cahoon. She works tirelessly at what she does, and it's probably one of the hardest jobs in any law enforcement agency to do this. But I'm amazed at the cooperation we got yesterday. I've been doing this trying to do it for quite a while, and the way the agencies came together and worked as one. And I mean, they were really active yesterday, and the folks standing up here, with the exception of a couple of the U.S. Marshals, we were in the background yesterday. And these young officers, men and women, got out and really did what we were out there to do, and my hat goes off to them. It's just an amazing thing the way it works, and I'm still impressed at how it worked yesterday, and I thank everybody that was involved.
I'm Johnny Williams. I'm the sheriff of Warren County. I was really appreciative of the marshal service and probation correction to come together and show that in Warren County we showed unity. They showed that we are bound by to protect and serve the citizens of Warren County and the citizens of this great state. And we have approximately about 45 sex offenders in Warren County, and the officers did a great job, and I appreciate the opportunity to work with the marshals and the correction and other sheriffs to come together and show unity in the eastern part of North Carolina. Thank
you. Good morning. I'm Sheriff Jerry Jones from Franklin County, and as each one has said before me, this was a successful event, and we could thank many, many people, and most of all, you know, we just thank everybody that we're here safe today and able to tell the success of the story we had. Franklin County Sheriff's Office is a little bit unique at this time compared to the two sheriff's offices behind me. We have had to rebuild the relationships and the working conditions that we've had this week. And Franklin County should be proud that the deputies and the people have come together to work with the new structured sheriff's office at Franklin County to be able, since October, to be able to participate in this event and to make everybody in Franklin County, and as Sheriff Williams said, in eastern North Carolina, safer. It was a success. We were welcomed in and were able to work with these people, with the marshal's office, and to get the most successful event that we've had trying to check on the residents of these sexual offenders. And as both the sheriffs have said in front of me, it's the people that were at the ground, that were doing the work, that done the work ahead of time with the marshal's office to get the paperwork, to get the locations, to get the addresses. A lot of work went into this, and it paid off yesterday. Everybody in this room has heard about hard times, having to do more with less. And we were in a meeting in Nash County that Sheriff Jenkins has once a month for police chiefs and sheriffs and top law enforcement people back in December. A good friend of mine said, Sheriff from Edgecombe County, James Knight, said, these tough times are not so bad. Everybody before him had been talking about how bad times were. He said, we will come together in this hard economic time, and we will work together, and we will be closer. And Sheriff Knight knew exactly what he was talking about. So this is proof that law enforcement from the top, from the marshal's office all the way down to rural Franklin County, can pair our resources together and have outstanding results in the events. Thank you a lot. Yes, ma'am.
You just said something interesting. You said, and if you could elaborate, you just said, you know, you've been having to rebuild your sheriff's department after what's happened there. Why was this? And you kind of just looked like you were getting, you know, emotional there for a second. Why was this operation so important to you and your office? If you could elaborate on that.
Kelly, as I said, it's a rebuilding process for Franklin County. I took office in October of 2011, so it's a real short time. And when the cloud was cast on the Franklin County Sheriff's Office by the wrongdoing of one particular person, a lot of people were under that cloud. The citizens, the officers from other departments, and the eastern part of North Carolina. So being in law enforcement, having the law enforcement family and the support from the marshal's office right down to the local police department, for them to understand what we've been through, to come and have our back and to have our counties back, that's a feeling that only law enforcement people know that I know of.
Important to you.
Yes, ma'am. Very important. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Bobby Dickerson, Chief Probation Officer in Franklin County. And I'd like to take this opportunity, first of all, to thank some of our officers who came yesterday, not only from Franklin County, but we had to ask probation officers from Granville and Warren participated because it was obviously their county, but we had to borrow some officers yesterday from Granville and Vance County to help us with this operation. I want to first of all thank them. Our probation officers, in my opinion, have a thankless job many, many times. They do a wonderful job. I want to also thank the Franklin County Sheriff's Department. We've got a wonderful relationship with our Sheriff's Department, and we're going to enjoy continuing to work with them, and I appreciate what the Sheriff has done. I also want to thank United States Marshals. The technology that has been given to the probation officers in recent years is second to none. And now there are other agencies such as the Marshals and the Sheriff's Departments that are now coming to us for assistance. And that's what we welcome. We appreciate that. So it just does my heart good to see that we're being involved and being included now in major operations. We currently have approximately 17 sex offenders here in our particular county, and I believe we were able to check on most of them yesterday. And again, I just want to thank the U.S. Marshals for including us in this operation, thank Sheriff Jones, thank these other sheriffs here, and again, thank the probation officers that came yesterday from the 4 counties that came and assisted in this operation. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Ricky Jenkins. I'm Assistant Judicial District Manager for Nash, Edgecombe, Wilson, and Pitt counties. First of all, I want to echo what the sheriff said. Pretty much, I was our officers out there doing the majority of the work. They were on the front line out there risking their lives. Second of all, without these sheriff's departments, we couldn't do our job. They assist us every day. I mean, it's continuous. They let us use their radio frequency and everything else. And finally, definitely thank the officers in Nash County that participated in this operation. And last but not least, thank the U.S. Marshals and Emergency Management of Nash County. It's been a pleasure to work with those folks, and if we continue, just shows what we can do in reference to what we can accomplish, which is our main goal, which is public safety. Thanks.
My name is Brent Fisher. I'm with the Nash County Emergency Management Office. And yesterday, it was a successful operation, as you have heard from the sheriffs and the respected agencies here. A lot of times during disaster situations, disasters start local and they end local. We bring in additional resources that may be statewide, it may be out of state. But yesterday showed that we can come together as a group, regionalize our resources, come together and have a successful operation. And just like I stated, an event starts local and it ends local, and just knowing that you can count on your respected neighboring departments, your U.S. Marshal Service, the probation parole, these other sheriff's offices, that's the time that you want to get to know these people is during times like this, special operations like this, not to wait till an event happens and then you're trying to figure out what the respected agencies can bring to the table. So yesterday, from the emergency management side of things, we think it was a successful operation. We appreciate everyone's involvement, and we also appreciate them allowing us to be involved, because a lot of times you don't see this across the state of North Carolina, these other agencies being involved with law enforcement, and you're starting to see this evolving a whole lot more now. So again, we appreciate the opportunity of being involved in the operation yesterday.
Before we open up for questions, to take your questions, I just want to once again reinstate the thank you to all the men and women, federal, state, and local, who participated yesterday. It was a success For no other reason, everybody went home safely. It was a dangerous job. You know, we didn't anticipate making 19 arrests, but the men and women, it just showed that the men and women wanted to make sure that their community was safe. They looked under every rock, and this is a result of what they found. 19 individuals that was doing things they was not supposed to be doing. Just some of the charges: they felony to change address, sex offender, use of social networking, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. We all know the dangers of a firearm. We all know. Y'all report on it every day. That's why the sheriffs allowed us to display the type weapons that was found yesterday to you. Felon to register as a sex offender. You know, this operation is not ending today. I can assure you. There will be other arrests. Some of the agencies, you know why some of these state and local officers not here today? They still out working. They still out looking under them rocks. And they're dedicated. They just want to be able to do their job. And I want to commend the men and women of the U.S. Marshal Service for the hard work in coordinating this. I want to thank all the other sheriffs that have personnel assigned to the Marshal Service on a full-time basis that's not here to stand with us today. But, you know, the operation is not ending, and I assure you we're going to continue on. At this time, we'll take questions from you. Anybody have any questions?
Could you describe to the people at home who don't have a concept of what this kind of operation is? When you say you do a compliance check, what does that mean? What is a compliance check?
The compliance check, I mean, keep in mind, the Marshal Service, our job was to come in to coordinate this, okay? The Sheriff's Office have personnel that actually, according to state law, they're responsible for the sex offender register. Them personnel, that personnel, had to make sure that the sex offender is in compliance of the state law. They had to go out and check on these individuals. You hear what Sheriff Jenkins said. He got over 100 and some sex offenders just in his county alone. That's a lot of work. So we knew that we could bring something to the table. Our job was just to bring everybody together to go out and check these sex offenders. They didn't know we was coming, and they didn't know what we're going to try to go through the house and search and check. And as a result of the law enforcement officers, as I stated earlier, doing their job, this is just some of the evidence that we found, some of the things we found. Just keep in mind, so many, approximately 15 of them, I believe, were sex offenders out of the 19 arrests. I mean, that's a lot of charges against sex offenders. But I think the other sex offenders got the message yesterday. We got our eye on them. It's not over. And keep in mind, some people we didn't go check yesterday that turned themselves in. They went to the probation officer or they went to the sheriff's office and said, hey, here I am. Because they didn't want us to come knocking on their door because they knew that the law enforcement was going to work till the job was done.
Why did you decide to do this operation?
Well, since I became the U.S. Marshal, we've been doing it all across the state of North Carolina. We've done counties in the east. I'm from Nash County. I used to work for Sheriff Jenkins, and I know all these gentlemen, and we wanted to bring it home. And that's what we done. We brought it home. I know all these men and women. I worked with them side by side. I know what they stand for. I know they work 24/7 till the job's done. So it was a pleasure to me and an honor to me to be able to stand beside them, swear them in as a special deputy U.S. Marshal. They didn't stop at county line. They went to Edgecombe County yesterday and made arrests. And it gave me a chance to make sure the citizens of this area is protected. And keep in mind, this ain't the last one. We got Brandon Teller, who's in charge of the program for the Marshal Service. We got other ones already planned. And we're going to check all the counties. We're responsible for 44 counties in eastern North Carolina, and we're going to check on all 44 counties. We may have to borrow personnel from these individuals standing here with us, but we're going to get the job done.
And my last question to you is, I just forgot it actually.
Well, we'll come back to you. So,
You mentioned that some people were arrested who actually were not sex offenders?
Correct.
What was that about?
Well, keep in mind, you know, we had a large number of personnel yesterday, okay? We had approximately 70 law enforcement that got up early in the morning. Keep in mind, some had to drive as far away as Fayetteville. So they got up early in the morning and drove here to help to make sure our 3 counties was safe. And then we knew we wanted to make sure that we work and make sure that not only sex offenders were checked, but probationers. So we had people that the probation or the law enforcement had warrants on. And we got all this manpower. So if one team finished early, they go out and check for absconders. Yesterday afternoon, we arrested someone, and absconded someone who was on probation who has not been able to be located. But we had all this manpower, all this expertise, pulling the resource together. We was able to make some arrests from people that was wanted for charges other than sex offenders. We're very proud of that. We want to make sure that the citizens got their bang for the buck, and that's what they did.
Well, why these counties, and what should, I guess, people watching from neighboring counties, Wilson, Edgecombe, think, is it going to happen to my county next?
Well, we done it in Wilson County alone earlier last year, or last summer, I believe. And and keep in mind, we're going back. We're going to finish the other 44 counties. But yeah, it's coming to other counties, I can assure you. It's going, we're going to do all 44 counties that I'm responsible for. And I already have a high goal set for the Marshal Service, called the men and women of the Marshal Service, along with all these state and local, are dedicated. Remember, think about where you was at yesterday morning, probably at 5 o'clock when they was on the road, or 4 o'clock when they was on the road to be at a meeting at 6 o'clock. Most people was asleep, or at work. These men and women was on the road, left their families in bed, probably kissed their kids goodbye, and they didn't know when they were coming back home to see their kids. They was only hoping and praying. So I think the citizens should be thankful for dedicated men and women.
And any reason why these 3 counties were chosen?
No, listen, we could do one county, but why do one county? We want to put working together. These 3 counties work together all the time. So we knew we can do these 3 counties, have a successful operation, and we're going to move on to other counties. But we knew that these 3 counties work together based on them connecting each other, based on the relationship that we have with probation, emergency management, the sheriffs, and the Marshal Service. We're one. Nash County has a full-time person assigned to us. Everybody know that, Nash County, we had a Nash County deputy that was assigned to us who was killed in the line of duty last year. And so Nash County is a partner with a full-time partner, so it's Community Correction, a full-time partner with the Marshal Service, working day in and day out.
I just remembered my question. I guess what surprised me is that, I'm just your average, probably citizen like any other person sitting at home that's going to be watching this tonight or was watching the story yesterday. And it surprised me when going out with you guys that there was a problem with people aren't, like I would think if you're a sex offender, because I'm naive, that, hey, I'm going to be active with my registry. I'm going to go down and make sure I change my address and keep my nose clean so I can get off of this thing in 5-10 years. And so is there a problem with the registry, I guess not here in North Carolina, but with these guys being accurate with it and being, honest to the letter of the law with the registry? And how come it's such a big priority? Is it because, people with kids, are going to that registry often to see who's living in their neighborhood? And so is it your job to make sure that is 110% accurate? Because that's kind of like my impression was like, okay, they're going out to make sure this is accurate. They probably won't have any problems. And then I was surprised when these guys weren't living where they said they were, or were doing things like on the Facebook and whatnot.
Well, the problem is not with the registry. The problem is with people not doing what they were supposed to. You either do the right thing or the wrong thing. That counts for law enforcement. That counts for everybody standing in this room. So you're either going to do what's right or you're going to do what's wrong. And I think some of the sex offenders just thought they could do what was wrong, and we came together as one and showed them that we're not going to tolerate it. They didn't have no idea that law enforcement going to show up at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. They thought we were home sleeping or at the office drinking coffee, and we showed them that we're committed to protecting. The reason for this, we want to protect the citizens and the children of these 3 counties in northeastern North Carolina, eastern North Carolina. And we are dedicated to that mission because, remember, the young people are our future. Any other questions? We're glad anybody at the podium.
Marshal Parker, can I respond now?
Yes, sir, you can, sir.
We actually came across some people yesterday, 2 that I would tell you about. One guy was moving, and he had already forwarded his address. He had came back to clean his house, and when we walked up, it wasn't a surprise to him because he knew he was right. He showed us his paperwork to his forwarding address. Everything was perfect. That guy didn't have any problems. He's got a job, he's got a family, and he's following the rules. And that's what those rules were for. We went to rural Franklin County to check on a guy that had been on probation before. And as we were going down the road, verifying the address, the probation officer said, this guy will be okay. He says his family keeps him in line. We arrived, knocked on the door, got someone to the door. He wasn't there, but they said he lives here. We'll get him here. You can verify everything, check anything you need to check. Minutes into the visit, a lady came out, that was this guy's grandmother. And she says, everything's here, everything's fine. He's in compliance. He'll be here in just a few minutes. We made a phone call. She said, by the way, my nickname is the Warden. And when this guy drove up, he got out, he had his ID, he had his paperwork. The lady that told us that story left to go to work. He said, well, my family keeps me in line. He said, my grandmother's name around here is the Warden. And people, I tell you that so that if more people would take responsibility and look out for the people that they know that are wrong and lead them in the right way, that these programs will be a success. On the same hand, some people want to know why we came to their house. Well, I can tell you, if you do wrong and law enforcement find out about it, whether it's arrested sex offender, a drug case, or robbery, we'll come into your house. So don't look surprised when we come to your house and you know you've done wrong. The rules state plainly that we're going to check arrested sex offenders. So if you've got arrested sex offender living with you, you go ahead and write it on your calendar. The sheriff's office, the marshal's office, and probation are going to check you out. So that's an answer to that question. And Bo, you were talking about why here. Everything has a begin, and I can tell you some of the groups that we're working with, not only with this type of operation, but all the operations are statewide. And law enforcement working together now is more than it's ever been. And just because it had to start somewhere, or we got together for this news briefing today, the rest of the people in Franklin County and North Carolina, and that are under the watch of the Marshal's Office and these other enforcement agencies, you're being protected, and this time type thing is coming, maybe at a larger event. And thank you a lot.
Sheriff, I'm not sure who to direct this question to, but we see all this evidence out on the table here. We see these 2 shotguns, looks like a laptop. I wonder if somebody from one of the sheriffs might be able to speak to this, and maybe how hard it is to, and how dangerous it is to go and find stuff like this. I don't know if you walk into the house and there's the shotgun sitting on the gun rack, or if you've got to go searching for it.
Thank you, Bo. And I wanted to respond to you asking about those other arrests that came earlier. We had a plan when we went here to do this. If they were on probation, we had the right to search. We asked for consent to search. And as you know, people that are on the wrong side of the law sometimes stick together. So some of these arrests were made because they were at the location we were at. The marshal's office and the marshal that worked with my group was very impressive as to how thorough he was. If you were at that residence and you complied to the questions we asked and allowed us to search and look with our authority, that's how some of these charges came about. We did not have tunnel vision. We went to one house with the group I was with, and the person we were looking was not there. But the lady actually tried to escape out the back door. But we had a plan to cover all exits. And when she came out the back door, we were able to stop her, send her back to the front, to the main team. And she had 6 outstanding warrants. Well, it was her unlucky day because she associated with a arrested sex offender. And within our scope of plain view or being allowed to search, and knowing the situation with some of our convicted felons is a result of the stuff on the table here today. Good, diligent work by the people that follow up with the sex offenders. We're aware that we had some people violating the computer rules. So that's why the computer's here. And as Marshal Parker stated, we started out in Franklin County we went to Nightdale and ended up in Wilson, North Carolina, to retrieve a computer that Susan Handel, my detective, already knew that this offender had violated his conditions. So that's how a lot of this stuff come about, just by thorough law enforcement work and a plan that the marshal's office had put together for us to get results. And I further answer your question about danger, yes, it's dangerous. The last couple of weeks, we've heard about law enforcement involved shootings. There's always been a big goal to try to get illegal guns off of the street. And to be able to get 5 or so guns yesterday in this operation, you know, everybody is safer. These gun barrels don't just point at law enforcement people. They can point at anybody. So it wasn't personal for us. We've protected a lot of people by getting these guns out of the illegal hands that they were in. Thank you.
In closing, I'd just like to reemphasize that what the sheriff said about, you know, you got one guy who's supposed to be registered in one county, and remember, because these deputy sheriff was sworn as a special deputy U.S. Marshal, he was able to go to another county. He worked in another county. He actually lived in another county. So they was able to go to all 3 counties and take care of what needed to be done and be within their jurisdiction. In closing, I'd just like to say thanks once again to the dedicated men and women of all of the law enforcement, including community correction and emergency management, for their work, for their help yesterday. I want to say thanks to the media. I know some of you rode along with us. We thank you. We're glad that you was able to return just like us safely. And we thank you for getting the message out. The media getting the message out is critical. I mean, we thank you for being here. You make it a complete success because people will be watching your show throughout the week or your newspaper, and they will see what we're doing, and they will pick up the phone and call their local sheriff and ask what they can do to help. Thank you.